I was asked to talk about was about the hurdles of philanthropy. And this is something that people are more familiar with about Africa, because obviously most of the work done in a more public way is around development, around what used to be development aid, and then it moved on to being development working together, and now it's development cooperation. So when I was asked to talk about hurdles of philanthropy, I brought it back to what I do, the work that I do. And my first question was to ask the question around why philanthropy? Philanthropy is supposed to be a very good thing, and it's a very old thing. Philanthropy has been around for a while with the churches, wealthy families who have been philanthropists, great philanthropists, academicians, scholars. In our work that we do, and I have a foundation called Sauti, Powerful Voices, that works with children and young people, we take philanthropy and put it up against development and ask ourselves, what do we get from philanthropy? And the question for us that first comes to mind, or that bounces to my mind, is sustainability. How sustainable is philanthropy? Or how sustainable is the work that I do, that we do in development, when you take philanthropy as what drives the work that you do? And there it becomes a bit difficult, because philanthropy, as I understand it, it's something that is very necessary in our world, but really has to do a lot to do with crisis, with conflict and emergency situations. Because philanthropy is helping and giving, and this is me taking it as a loose translation as a linguist, when there's a situation of great need, and those who are in need cannot help themselves. And that's what's key about philanthropy, is that you're giving to those who have less than you have and cannot help themselves. And very often in development, we forget that we end up reducing what we're trying to do by bringing it down to a level where we talk of people or our target groups as those who cannot help themselves. I see Juliana has just come in. I have to repeat what I said before. Thank you very much for a wonderful speech. I'm so proud to be Kenyan. I'm so proud I was able to be here and hear you talk. Thank you. Yeah. So when we talk about philanthropy, I'm very critical of the term philanthropy. And I get into a lot of trouble for doing that by my workers, my fellow team, because they say, we do need funding, we do need to be supported. Stop making philanthropy sound like it's something wrong. It's not wrong. The only problem is that when we talk of philanthropy and we talk of pure philanthropy, it becomes a hurdle to development, because it's treated as if it's something extra and apart from development and from economy. All of the people that we deal with, all of the young people that I work with in the work that I do, in the humanitarian work, are young people that need to be part of the value change, the economic value change. And in order to be part of the economic value change, we have to treat development as being part of that economic value change. So it cannot only be philanthropic. You cannot talk about these people as being helpless people. They can be people in need, out of a crisis situation, or a situation where they have not had the exposure to be able to develop themselves in such a way that they improve their lives. But you cannot talk of them as being helpless. And that's where philanthropy sometimes takes a different route to the route that we try to take in the work that we do. Because part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to redefine what need is. Because when philanthropy takes place, it's in a case of need. And very often in development, we come up with an idea of what people need based on our standards, on what we consider as being need. So you find that in the Western world, very often we define people from my part of the world, Africa, or the poorer parts of the developing world in Latin America, as being poor or needy, when actually it's just a different situation that they're in, that they can actually come out of if you help them understand what situation it is and how we can look at it in a different way, so it doesn't become a situation where they're completely helpless, inactive, and dependent. I'll try to explain that a little bit better. You take a family living in a village in western part of Kenya, in a hut, and they don't have very much. They're cooking on 3 stones. That's the fire they have. They collect their water from the river. And the family is dressed a bit tattily, and it's looking a bit dirty-ish. And you go there and you think, oh, these people are so poor, we need to help them, okay? But you're not looking at the whole situation, because that same family, and that's what we're confronted with every day, have 10 acres of land. And anybody who knows anything about land, it's very, very valuable. But these people do not work the land. They work 1 acre of the land and leave 9 acres because, well, they just are poor. They don't have. And they don't know how to work the land because they've been taught that they need to go to school and get a job at a desk, and that's when they can get rich. So very many times you come into a situation where the need has been wrongly defined, and you start to help. You're philanthropic. So you go and take them away from that situation, you put them in a school, they go and study or learn, well, often they don't study, they go to school, and when they're done, they don't have a job. And the next option is to come back to that land and try and work the land. But unfortunately, because the idea of working that land is linked with the idea of being poor, nobody wants to go back. So you have a situation where people are in the countryside and they do not work their land because they feel they're failures. To farm is to be a failure. You have 50-plus-year-old farmers who are farming because the young people don't want to farm that land. So it's about changing the mindset around what is need, what is poverty, how do you define poverty? That's what we are trying to do with the work that we are doing. Before you can start talking about philanthropy in the cases of the work that we do. So we want to change and define the poverty differently. And most importantly of all, we want to change the mindset of the people we work with. Change the mindset around who they are and how they see themselves, so they can take ownership of their lives, take ownership and responsibility for what happens to their lives, and not expect it to be done by somebody else from outside. Because the definition of the kind of help that people get when they think they're poor, I say it this way because I'm trying to be provocative, is that when a school is built by an external factor in the developing scenario, and usually, unfortunately, a stereotype, it's a middle-aged, somewhat graying white man, male, usually. Somebody like me doesn't really figure. And if something breaks in that school, a latch that needs to be fastened by a screwdriver, it won't be done because those people who fixed it for us, the organization is going to come and do that. Until the latch falls, the window falls, it breaks, and it costs a lot of money because nobody takes ownership. So what we try to do is say, you have to change the mindset. You do it for yourself. Nothing is for free. The way that Sauti works is we do not do anything for free. And we move very, very slowly because we work with the people that are in the communities and we tell them, you know best what your needs are. We will talk to you about your needs. In other words, we have dialogue, we communicate with each other, and once we know your needs, we will talk about solutions together, and we, due to our exposure, because we are more exposed to the brighter world, we can come up with ideas and partnerships and know-how that helps you realize what you need to realize in order to get the solutions to the problems that you have in your life. So we're changing the mindset around this victim mentality and this dependency mentality. That is something that very often, unfortunately, philanthropy doesn't leave room for. Because you've already given it. It's like a child. And this is not because I'm calling Africans or people who are poorer or disadvantaged children, or even take me shopping. And put me in a shop and tell me I can have everything I want for free without doing anything for it. As I stand here, I will fill a suitcase with things because I'm getting it for free. But tell me to work for it and take my money and go and shop, I will think twice about every little piece of clothing that I buy. And that's the change in the mindset. And we've done this to ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I'm not just talking about the West, I'm talking about us as the people coming from those countries that supposedly get this help and this philanthropy. We have done it to ourselves because we have become complacent and sat back and said, they will help us. In fact, they owe it to us because they colonized us. They owe it to us because it's so much better. They have it much better than us, and they're exploiting our resources. All true, no doubt. But at the end of the day, who cares? I lived in Germany for 16 years. I tried to convert the Germans to tell them Africa is different. We're not just poverty, sunshine, and animals. I would talk until if I was a European, they would say until I was blue in the face. But it didn't help. Because at the end of the day, the people were sympathetic. They said, great, fine, we hear, we agree. But the pictures, the images the media put on our head are so strong. And I realized in the end, I have to change me. I have to change within me and my people. We have to change how we are and walk that walk the way we think we are and let people see it. And then they can make a decision. Just what like Juliana is doing. She's doing what she does. If I tell you that there's you and me, Juliana and I, we exist in Africa. The average German, sorry, no offense meant, does not know we exist. I have spent years trying to have people realize that I exist and I'm a product of Africa. I'm not a product of the West. Not because I lived in Europe do I talk like I do. Not because I went to school in Germany. I went as an adult to school. And that is so important. That's why we have to change our mindset to realize we are the ones in charge of our destinies. We are the ones who make the decisions around what happens with us. And the word no is a very powerful word. Even if somebody comes and wants to give you 50,000 euros or 100,000 US dollars to do a project, is the project sensible for you? Do you have a need? Are you really in need of whatever it is you're getting? Can you do it yourselves? Can you negotiate the platform that this project is going to be run on so that it can be done a bit differently, so it caters to what you feel is important for what you're doing? We need to have the courage to take a stand, and that's the work we do with the children and young people, to teach them to have self-worth, an identity, confidence, and also to relate to the values that make them human beings that have dignity. And we do it in many different ways. I don't have any time to explain it. I see that you're already standing up, so my time is up. But that, if nothing else, that's the message I want to give to you, that you realize that, and as a last thing, which is really, really important, because now the attack has been on my people, how we should behave. The other thing is towards the West and all of those who want to work with us, who feel that they want to help. First of all, don't feel you want to help. Because when you feel you want to help, you're in a position of greater strength, and you create a dependency. Feel that you want to communicate, you want to be in dialogue, and you want to be in partnership and work together with each other. And then what you have to do is be honest. Why are the reasons that you want to get involved? Don't do it because of the feel-good factor, because you have a guilty conscience. We are not your responsibility. Do it because you really feel it's going to make a difference and bring changes, because we are a global community. Juliana Rotich has shown us that. Sorry, I keep calling your name, but it's true. We are a global community. We all work together, and in order to make this world a better place, we have to start recognize that we all can contribute. It is not about the West giving us down south there, where it's not yet we're not that far. We are in something so far ahead, and we need to share and give to each other. So don't give us fish. Don't teach us to fish. Ask us whether we eat fish. Thank you very much.